On this episode of the Big Insurance Connect, I had a real conversation with Robin of the Alzheimer's Association in Georgia. If you are a caregiver or have a loved one that's been diagnosed, or if you're looking for the signs and resources, you cannot afford to miss this episode. Let's check it out. Hey y'all, it's Moon Thomas, your social media insurance advisor, and I'm super excited to be here today with Miss Robin Reed. Hey Robin, how are you doing?
I'm great, Moon. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for being here today. We're going to be discussing Alzheimer's awareness. And honestly, when I was on a separate panel with you, I was like, I got to get back in touch with Ms. Robin. This is too much information to just really put in a 15-minute segment. So I really just wanted to kind of just, circle back with you, kind of give a little bit more information on different resources or different signs or just things that can help, because I know even with my own clients, there are so many families and caregivers dealing with dementia, early signs of Alzheimer's and things of that nature. Do you want to talk about maybe the statistics or just the facts behind that?
Sure. So the Alzheimer's Association every year puts out what we call our facts and figures. Mm-hmm. So every year they look at the numbers, and the numbers are steadily going up. Currently, right now, there are about 7 million Americans dealing with Alzheimer's, and that is just those who have been diagnosed. Wow. So here in Georgia, where we are, that equates to about just under 200,000 individuals. And when we look at the number of those who are providing care, unpaid care for their loved ones, the numbers are about 11 million nationwide. So this disease obviously is very time consuming. It's very expensive for those who are caring for their loved ones, and it's very exhausting. Most caregivers, a lot of caregivers are still trying to hold down a career. They may be raising their kids while caring for their parents or their elderly grandparents. So this disease takes a toll on the entire household eventually. Because as we know, it is progressive. So, as the Alzheimer's Association, we try to provide resources for folks once they have a diagnosis to help them sort of navigate through. Okay, I have this diagnosis, which can be very debilitating for the family to find out, because right now we know there's not a cure, but there are resources to help you navigate through. So as the association, we try to provide those resources for what's your next step? How do I find a doctor or a medical care team to help me take care of my loved one? How do I put my affairs in order so moving forward we can make sure that the care for my loved one continues? So it's a lot to digest, but we try to help families and individuals as they're moving forward.
Yeah. And you know what I've been running into a lot with my Medicare clients is that your health insurance is one side of it, but when it comes to long-term care and having round the clock and going into a memory care facility, those are not the same. They're not covered under that. And sometimes, it's not a nursing home. It's more of a self-pay situation. What about the finances of that? I had one particular gentleman that I ran into that it blew my mind that he said he had spent $300,000 so far on his wife's memory care because she needed 100% all day long care, around the clock. And so, how do you have resources to help with the finance of that?
Well, we do not provide financing for that. However, we do provide information on our website, which is a great sort of clearinghouse, if you will, for all things Alzheimer's. If you were to go to alz.org and just put in a search word, assistance, home care, those types of words, there are grants that are available for respite care for folks who take care of loved ones in their home. So that's where I would say you could start, is there, just to sort of look up the various opportunities that are in your local community. You could literally go in to our website at alz.org, put in your zip code, and you will find the nearest chapter to where you are, and then you can look up local resources. But there are respite care grants that are available. You just kind of have to do a little digging sometimes. But resources are out there. And we always tell folks, once you have a diagnosis, kind of start planning ahead.
Right.
Money aside, you need that care community within your own family, within your own community. If it's your neighbor, if it's your faith community, let folks know, what you're dealing with, because people normally want to help. And if it's nothing more than coming and sitting with your loved one for an hour so you can take a break and go take a walk, or just go in another room and sort of have a moment. Respite care for yourself is very important for the caregiver. And we do a lot of education and awareness for caregivers, because unfortunately there's a startling statistic that says nearly half of all caregivers pass away before the person they're actually caring for, because they're not eating, they're not sleeping. It's a 24/7 job. And so we encourage people, get that care community within your circle, whether it's 2 or 3 people, whether it's a team of folks. Most people are willing to help, to do their part. If you need someone to go pick up the medication, or go do the grocery run, or do the laundry, don't be afraid to let people know what you're dealing with, because most people do want to help in a way, whatever they can. So,
that's interesting how you really focus on the caregiver. I mean, because I believe that that's usually the side that doesn't really get that much attention, and they really need the most help. Either they feel stuck where they have to do everything themselves, or they don't know where to start, or they just don't have, you just run out of time, like you said. And I do believe that, while you're putting so much focus on your loved one or another individual, that your own health goes kind of to the wayside, and you maybe are experiencing some issues that you're not getting taken care of health wise, that eventually can surpass what you're doing for your loved one that's even experiencing this condition. Because it could last for years, right? It's not like an end date.
Right. It's a progressive disease, and no 2 cases are the same. There are some folks who have lived with dementia for years, and there are some that progresses more quickly. One other thing that we provide at the Alzheimer's Association is access to support groups. So we train support group facilitators, and, this is really sort of that safe place where you can go and just vent. There are other caregivers who are in that circle, so to speak, and you just kind of share best practices. You kind of talk about what you're experiencing. And it's really that space where, you're not alone. I'm not the only one experiencing this. Today, mom had a bad day. She was, very upset. I didn't know how to deal with it. So it's a space to go where folks who have dealt with caregiving, and there are folks who are sort of in the same, having the same walk, but it's that space where you can go virtually or in person. We have some of our groups that meet in churches, some of them that meet, in, community locations. And then we have groups that meet virtually, because we know sometimes a caregiver can't leave the home. But it helps to have that safe space, that support group, to kind of help you talk through things. And so we offer those types of groups that are basically all over the state. So again, if you were to go to alz.org, put in your zip code, you could find the nearest support group in your community that you could become a part of.
Oh, I love that. I mean, that's very good information to share. And also too, I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that in your Medicare health insurance, there, or even just if you're under a group insurance, most and pretty much all plans do have a component for mental health in there that you can take advantage of, that I'm pretty sure is underused in terms of getting that additional support through your health insurance in terms of your own mental health, right? Your own mental health, in order to be able to, to reassess every day what's the best way to take care of yourself and the loved one. So I think that's important to share. I think a lot of people that might go over their head that I even have a mental health piece in my insurance.
Right.
Yeah.
The key is knowledge about all of this, because most people don't think about dementia until they're faced with it. And so now I have this diagnosis. Where do I go? Who do I talk to? So we, on the grassroots level, want folks to know in the faith community, in our civic groups, even with our local corporate communities, that we're here. The association is here to serve, and we're a national organization. Mm-hmm. We have chapters all over the country. And so we want folks to know that there are resources to help you navigate through this.
And just from your experience, or just some of the different, I guess, people that you've met throughout the years, could you just kind of give us an idea? I think some people may have not been diagnosed yet, maybe even misdiagnosed, and it falling into the category of maybe mental illness or behavioral issues, but it really could be early signs of dementia. Like, what is a way that you could be your own advocate? Or if you have a loved one that you're seeing certain signs for, what do you suggest, in order to get the diagnosis clarified?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because a big part of what we do as program managers, we offer, as I said, awareness and education. So one of our topics that we cover is, what are the 10 warning signs? So we encourage folks to look for, obviously, the first sign is forgetfulness. You start forgetting things that should be second nature. You forget how to do daily tasks. You may forget, well, what's the setting on the microwave? Or, you may forget to pay a bill, or you may, pay too much, or things are just a little off. And a lot of times we may brush this off. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm just having a stressful week. But we encourage folks to kind of look for those signs. You start misplacing things. One good example that we always use is, we all misplace our keys, or we may misplace our phone. Usually we can retrace our steps. And I left them here by the door when I came in and the phone rang. But if you cannot retrace your steps from where you are in this moment, that may be a sign. So, kind of start looking at those things. And we always encourage, start with your primary care physician. If you feel that there's something sort of off, don't be afraid to go. Again, as you say, you have to advocate for your health. Yeah. Don't think folks are going to think I'm crazy if I say I think things are kind of off, or you may not want to offend the person. You may feel like, well, if I say something's going on with mom, if I inquire about her, if I mention it to her, she may get upset. Sometimes you have to be creative. A lot of doctors would do a cognitive evaluation, and we encourage, say, for instance, if it's your mom or your grandmother, when they go and get their regular checkup, just say, hey, maybe we should just go ahead and get a cognitive eval, just get it out of the way. And that can be as simple as, the doctor may give you 3 or 4 words to remember. And he'll say, at the end of this exam, we're going to come back and see if you remember these 5 words. So, we say have that baseline starting point if you feel like something's going on with either you or your loved one. And then maybe in 6 to 9 months, you check again to see if there's a change. But because the disease is so gradual and progressive, sometimes it's easy to miss. Right. But don't be afraid to take that first step, because the sooner you do get a diagnosis or figure out what it is, the more options you have for care. So.
And then last thing, because, this is a lot of information. Like you said, I really encourage anyone watching to go to the website and really, kind of pick and choose the areas that they're really wanting to concentrate on. But the last thing is, since I do work with a lot of seniors, what are some things that you can do just to try to maybe lessen your chances of having a diagnosis later? Like, I know a lot of seniors like to play bingo, and you think it's just a game, but that's really like a memory and a type of a, cognitive association there. Like, is there anything that you really can do to try to lessen your chances of maybe being diagnosed later?
Yeah, well, we encourage everyone to start where you are. A healthy lifestyle can start today, and it may be something as small as cutting out more sugar, eating less fatty foods, obviously physical exercise. It's all intertwined, the brain, the vascular. But we say start where you are. You're never too old to start. Right. But as you said, mental exercise is just as important as physical. So I love to do the word finds on my phone. Anything that's going to exercise that brain muscle in your head, learning something new, learn a challenging language, learn how to play chess, anything that's going to make you think and use that muscle is going to help. Doing something every day to kind of exercise that, and then try coupling that with a healthier diet, some sort of movement. We also do a presentation on healthy lifestyles. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of that is stuff we already know. We just need to start. So, yeah.
I don't know how true this is, but I heard something like about the lack of sleep contributes to it. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, sleep apnea, rest is so important. Again, that's part of that healthy lifestyle. How are you sleeping? Being on this 24/7, we're all guilty of that. We got to constantly check our email and check our social media. Sometimes we need to reduce our screen time and just give the body time to rest. We have to refuel. And sometimes we can be so busy that we get into this brain fog, but we need to be able to empty out that. And, one lady used the analogy of, a trash compactor. You get so much stuff in that you need to clean it out. You can go clogged till you need to kind of step back. And that's something that we have to be cognizant of. We're so good at multitasking, but sometimes we need to take a break. But all of those components, sleep, exercise, diet, all of the socialization, all of those healthy habits can help contribute to a healthier life overall. And so every little bit helps.
I love that. Thank you so much for just sharing this information, shedding some light, and really being a pillar in the community for education and being a resource, because I just feel like, knowledge is power. And the more you know, the more you can grow, right? And I literally feel like, being out in the community, grassroots marketing, which you're doing. And, of course, I'm out with the seniors, and it just really makes a difference to be present in front of people. So I thank you for your time here on the Big Insurance Connect today. Anyone that's watching this, if you're a caregiver, if you have a loved one that is experiencing some of these symptoms or even has a diagnosis, please visit the website, alz.org, if you're in Georgia, /Georgia. But this is a nationwide website, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So if you just really want to get more information or be able to home in on some resources in your area, please go to the website. And if you have any questions, the number is scrolling here at the bottom of the screen. You can just call if you want to get more information. But I really appreciate you being here today, Robin. I love y'all, and I mean it. Until the next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
If you enjoyed this episode, do me a big favor. Please like, share, and subscribe to the #1 insurance resource that has you covered from the womb to the tomb for all things health and wealth. Until the next time, I love you and I mean it.